Shalom and welcome to Psychology of the Parsha for Parshat Metzora. That is chapter 14 in the book of Vayikra, Leviticus. This Parsha begins with, and Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, "This shall be the law of the leper, the Metzora, on the day of his becoming pure. And he shall be brought to the Kohen." Now it's interesting that what's going to follow is all the technical, the ritual of what it takes, the steps that need to be taken for this Metzora to no longer be impure. Thus, as we learned in last week's Parsha, isolated from the community, from his own home, from his own city, rather for him to become pure and make his re-entry into society. And remember, why is it that he got to this point in the first place? What is this all about? Well, as the sages tell us, this was not a natural phenomenon. This wasn't a normal occurrence as a result of some kind of medical issue. Rather, this was the result of one engaging in Lashon Hara, one speaking gossip about others, and in the words of the sages, quote, "You caused others to be separated from one another, husband from wife, brother from brother, friend from friend, because of your gossip that tore them apart, speaking to one bad about the other. Well, you too will now be isolated from the community," and this gives a person time to reflect and realize, hey, how did I get to this place? And what do I need to do? And part of the process, as we're going to learn later in this Parsha, is to purify themselves. And in the process, for example, one of the things they use is a hyssop branch bush, which, as the sages tell us, is a very, very low-growing bush. It could never grow tall. And that is to remind him to be humble, not to be so arrogant, not to be so full of himself, thus leading him to talk about others and to think that he has some kind of passport to judge others and to make decisions on what and what not he may share about others and their lives. Thus, this Parsha is going to go through the process of what needs to be done in the ritual of making him pure. But here's something very interesting. If you look at the Hebrew words, the Parsha actually begins with saying, yes, Hashem spoke to Moshe, and then it says, Zot tihiyeh Torat HaMetzora. This shall be, now I'm translating it literally, the Torah. The Torah, which means here in this context the law, of the Metzora on the day of his purity. Why does he use the word Torah? Why didn't he just say, this shall be the process of purity on the day he begins to become pure? Or this shall be the regimen on the day he becomes pure? Why use the word Torah? Well, the Hasidic teachings, specifically Rabbi Shneur Zalman, the founder of the Chabad movement, shares with us a very special insight. He says that this is actually hinting, directing us to understand that it's not just about the rituals that need to be done. It's not just about certain steps, technical things that need to be done in order for him to be purified. But this person needs to be transformed. This person needs to now become more connected, intimately, and bipnimiyut, internally, in the most internal place where it really counts, even more than the heart, and that's right here, the mind. In other words, what this person did is spoke bad language. When I say bad language, I don't mean cussing. I mean spoke bad about other people's, which is the worst form of bad. He brought harm to others, even though he may have not been speaking to them. He was speaking about them. This person's language was bad. In order for it to become good, it's not just enough to bring the offering, to go to the purification waters, to bring the various technical things that need to be brought. He needs to have a full and absolute transformation. He needs to connect to the ultimate wisdom of Hashem in order to really become that new person that he should become. And thus not only change his language, not only change what he says, but how he says it, or better yet, what he even thinks to say. His entire thinking needs to be transformed. And thus is the Torah hinting that to us with saying, Zot tihiyeh Torah ha-Metzora, the Torah of the Metzora. He needs to really dwell into the study of Torah. He needs to engage heavily and add and increase in his study of Torah. That will bring him that ultimate transformation. And what's very important to this, in a practical level, although today we don't have this phenomenon of tsarat, of this type of leprosy, because, as I mentioned, it's a spiritual affliction. However, it does tell us that whenever a person finds themselves at that crossroads, where they want to go in the right direction, they want to maybe change the way they behave, they may want to change and realize that they need to change the way they speak, the way their attitudes, their behavior. Of course, in every individual type of issue, there are certain technical measures that need to be taken in order to distance oneself from doing bad, in order to distance oneself from that opportunity, that temptation of falling back into the trap. But the overall correction always needs to be, and truly is, by studying more Torah, by engaging in that, because your chokhmah, your wisdom, your entire intellect connects more to Hashem's intellect, thus giving you that real proper channel, a correct way of thinking, thus impressing and influencing your attitudes and thus your actions. May Hashem always give us the wisdom and opportunity to be able to study more Torah, always with, of course, the positive results that the Torah is bound to have on each and every one. Shalom.